When it comes to RPGs on the Play Store, there are thousands of options out there, but when we're talking about offline RPGs, things get a little more complicated. The truth is, there are actually a lot of them, but most are hidden beneath the endless sea of mobile games, buried where almost nobody looks. And that's exactly why you're lucky you clicked on this video. Today, I'm bringing you the 20 best mobile RPGs you can play right now. So drop a like and let's dive in. Let's start this list with a game released back in 2008. You probably witnessed the birth of a true mobile RPG legend. We're talking about ZENONIA 1. Developed by Gameville, it was one of the first games to prove that smartphones, especially the iPhone at the time, could handle a real action RPG experience. You play as Regret, a young hero with a mysterious past raised by Commander Pardon after being found on a battlefield. The game drew heavy inspiration from classics like The Legend of Zelda and Secret of Mana, and to this day, it remains one of the most influential RPGs ever released on Android. Unfortunately, since it was a 32-bit game, it was removed from the App Store and Google Play years ago due to incompatibility with modern operating systems, but of course, the Reddit community stepped in and created a remastered version of the game, and I played it. It's a solid 10 out of 10. YOHANE the PARHELION Numazun the Mirage is a roguelike that blends RPG elements inside an anime universe, and that combination makes it incredibly addictive. Let's talk about it. The story follows YOHANE, a young fortune teller working in Numazu. One day, she discovers a magical mirror that transports her to the reverse world, also known as Numazu, a strange dimension made entirely of mirrors where the rules of reality no longer apply. The best part is definitely the cards and the different runs you can create. Each build completely changes your playstyle. If you've ever played Slay the Spire, you'll feel right at home, though this one adds light RPG elements to give the progression a bit more depth. Like any great roguelike, the map is randomly generated every time you play. If you die, you lose the cards and items from that run, but you earn points to unlock permanent upgrades, making your next journey a little easier. If you like the style of ZENONIA, then Wayward Souls is a natural and almost mandatory evolution. Let's talk about it. Instead of exploring a continuous world, you dive into procedurally generated dungeons. Your goal is to climb floor after floor inside a cursed tower, and if you die, you lose almost everything from that run and go back to the beginning. However, you keep the gold you collected, which can be used to buy permanent upgrades for your characters. Some are more traditional, like the classic warrior. Others are far more unique, like the cultist, whose abilities completely change the way the game is played. Combat here is much more punishing than in ZENONIA. It demands precision and patience. Healing items are extremely rare, so every mistake matters. You'll need to learn the attack patterns of over 100 different enemy types if you want to survive. On top of permanent stat upgrades, you'll also find equipment during your runs that visually changes your character and grants new powers, adding even more variety to each attempt. Let's talk about a true old school experience, a complex open world RPG with a dark and oppressive atmosphere. We're talking about VENDIR, Plague of Lies. The game takes place in the kingdom of VENDIR, a miserable land ruled under the iron fist of King Elric. The story begins with a letter from an elderly mother begging her children to save her, setting off a journey filled with political tension and morally ambiguous choices. Unlike the other games on this list, this one focuses heavily on turn-based combat, and the real secret lies in party synergy. One character can apply a status effect like soaking an enemy with water, allowing another character to strike with electricity and deal devastating critical damage. A strategy is everything. You control a full party of heroes and every decision matters. The game can become brutally difficult if you don't carefully plan your equipment, skills, and team composition, and one of its strongest features is the open world. You're free to explore the map, enter cities, uncover secrets, and slowly piece together the truth behind the kingdom's corruption. One of the most influential and beloved PS1 RPGs of all time is also available on mobile, and a lot of people still don't know that. Let's talk about Valkyrie Profile LENNETH. You play as LENNETH, one of the 3 Valkyries serving Odin. Her mission is to descend into Midgard, the world of humans, and collect the souls of fallen warriors worthy of entering Valhalla. But this isn't just another fantasy adventure. The game is known for being emotionally heavy. To recruit a character, you often witness their final moments alive, and those stories are almost always tragic. Exploring towns and dungeons consumes time, and time is a crucial mechanic. At the end of each chapter, you must send your strongest warriors to Valhalla to aid the gods in the War of Ragnarok. It looks simple at first. Each button corresponds to a character, but it's incredibly effective. You can synchronize attacks, create massive combos, and fill up a special gauge that unleashes devastating finishing moves. Trials of Mana is proof that Android can handle massive, high-quality RPG experiences. Let's talk about it. For decades, this game was considered a lost treasure in the West, only available through fan translations until it finally received a full 3D remake in 2020 and made its way to Android. The game features 6 playable characters divided into 3 narrative paths. You choose one main protagonist, and that choice determines who the final villain will be, as well as the final dungeon you'll face. Then you select 2 companions, each bringing their own backstories, character arcs, and unique interactions. That means you can play the game at least 3 different times and experience completely different story perspectives, and you're not locked into a single role. As you level up and discover specific items, you can change classes, choosing between the path of light or darkness for each character, dramatically altering their abilities and playstyle. The combat is fully fluid and action-based, fast, responsive, and still considered one of the game's strongest features even today. This next game is very different because technically you're not just playing as the hero, you're playing as the Sword of Ditto itself. Let's talk about the Sword of Ditto. You have a limited amount of time, just a few in-game days to grow stronger before facing the main villain Mormo. If you manage to defeat her, an era of peace lasts for 100 years. But if you fail, the world falls into darkness, and the next hero who awakens a century later will find a land that's far more dangerous, corrupted, and unforgiving. It's a wild concept. In many ways, it feels like a roguelike built around the story mode. There isn't a deep, continuous narrative, but there's always a new cycle, a new hero, and one ultimate goal: defeat the villain. The game uses a classic top-down perspective and focuses heavily on dungeon exploration, character progression, and preparing yourself for the final confrontation with Mormo, or dying in the attempt. A lot of people don't even realize that this 2008 classic is also available on Android, fully playable and published by Square Enix. Let's talk about the last remnant. The world revolves around ancient magical artifacts of various sizes known as remnants. They can be anything from a small amulet to a massive towering structure. Each remnant must be bound to a specific person. If one remains without an owner for too long, it can trigger devastating magical disasters. The story follows Rush Sykes, a young man searching for his kidnapped sister, only to find himself caught in a massive global political war over control of these powerful artifacts. But the real standout feature of this game is its battle system. You don't control individual characters, you command entire groups. Instead of selecting attack with sword, you choose situation-based commands like use combat arts or recover and hold your ground. The available options change dynamically depending on your group's health and their distance from the enemy, making every battlefield tactical and unpredictable. One of the hidden RPG releases of 2025 quietly sitting in the Play Store is this charming little gem called Tales of BLOOMRISE. It's an indie pixel art RPG for Android that blends peaceful village life with dangerous dungeon exploration filled with secrets. If you enjoy the cozy feeling of classics like Stardew Valley mixed with old school Zelda style adventures, this one might surprise you. You play as Ray, a young adventurer living in the quiet village of BLOOMRISE, a beautiful place hiding ancient mysteries that slowly unfold as you progress. The game is divided into 2 core experiences. First, village life. Here you build relationships with the townspeople, help the community thrive, and even grow your own crops. Then comes dungeon life. This is where the game really channels classic Zelda vibes. You fight monsters, solve puzzles, and uncover hidden secrets buried deep within ancient ruins. The game also features a day and night cycle where peaceful daily routines gradually shift into dangerous adventures as you descend further into the ruins. If you love RPGs but also enjoy deep strategy mechanics, and Songs of Conquest is one of the best love letters ever made to the classics. Let's talk about it. The game operates on 2 main layers. First, the adventure map. You move your heroes known as wielders across the world in turn-based fashion, gathering resources, capturing mines, discovering artifacts, and preparing for large-scale conflicts. Then comes city management. Unlike many strategy games where you simply build through a static menu, here you must construct buildings in limited spaces around your settlement. Every decision matters. Do you focus on economy and resource generation, or do you prioritize elite troops and military power? There are 4 main factions, each with a completely unique aesthetic, playstyle, and tactical approach. Like any great strategy game, mastering each faction is key to gaining a true advantage. And to make things even better, the game has a very active community that constantly creates custom maps and campaigns, meaning the content never truly runs out. An action roguelike with a top-down perspective that blends rhythmic hack-and-slash combat with the addictive progression of randomized dungeons. Let's talk about Shadow of the Depth. Instead of creating your own character, you choose between heroes with completely distinct playstyles. You've got the classic warrior, the agile archer, and well, 2 other characters that, let's be honest, almost nobody picks. The real strength of Shadow of the Depth lies in its combat impact. Even with its fully isometric view, the game feels punishing and intense. Fights demand precision, timing, and quick decision making. As you explore, you'll discover blessings, passive abilities that completely change how your attacks function. You might add lightning effects to your arrows, or leave poisonous pools behind every time you dodge. And even though it may look simple at first glance, the difficulty forces you to actually get good. It's challenging, unforgiving, and that's exactly what gives the game its addictive edge. If you lived through the golden age of Android gaming around 2013, you might remember this interesting release. Let's talk about Ravensward. Before Genshin Impact, Ravensward was pretty much the only real option if you wanted a vast open-world RPG on Android. The game wasn't divided into linear stages. You were free to explore wherever you wanted, discover cities, accept side quests, and carve your own path through the world. The influence of Skyrim was visible everywhere, from the option to play in first or third person to the combat system that mixed different weapon types and even mounts that allowed you to explore the world more efficiently. For 2013 standards, the graphics were impressive. The game featured dynamic lighting, shadows, and a surprisingly large draw distance for a mobile title at the time. Today, Ravensward is mostly forgotten, but even in 2026, it still stands as an important piece of Android RPG history. Possibly one of the only true Souls-like experiences on the Play Store with deep RPG elements. Let's talk about the legendary PASCAL's Wager. The game takes place in a dark, melancholic fantasy world called Solace. The sun has sunk into the sea and a black mist now covers the land. You follow Terence, a courier searching for his missing wife while trying to uncover the truth behind the world's collapse. The game features several classic Souls-like mechanics. There's a stamina bar, meaning every attack, dodge, and block drains your energy. You can't just button mash, every move must be calculated. But the real standout mechanic is sanity. As you lose sanity, the game becomes even more difficult. Enemies grow more aggressive and the world itself feels increasingly hostile. It adds a psychological layer to the challenge. Unlike Dark Souls, where you create your own custom character, here you switch between predefined heroes, each with fixed playstyles and unique skill trees, from Terence, the balanced warrior, to Norwood, a brutal fighter who literally wields an iron coffin as his weapon. ONIRO is one of the most important RPG releases of 2025 because it's basically an offline Diablo experience on mobile. Let's talk about it. This is a top-down action RPG that throws you into a dark, mystical fantasy world where dimensions are collapsing and demonic legions are invading everything. The setting blends gothic ruins with elements inspired by Eastern traditions, creating an atmosphere filled with mystery and constant danger. Fast-paced combat is the core identity here. Just like any great Diablo-style game, you'll explore over 100 dungeons, each packed with unique enemies and powerful bosses waiting to test your build. And speaking of builds, one of ONIRO's most impressive features is its multi-class system. The game offers more than 21 different classes, allowing you to create highly customized builds with deep and varied synergies. On top of that, there are over 200 legendary items, gear customization through gems, and upgrade systems that directly shape your playstyle. This isn't just hack and slash, it's build crafting, experimentation, and optimization, all fully offline. Possibly one of the most famous offline games ever compared to The Legend of Zelda. Let's talk about OCEAHORN. The story begins with a young boy whose father mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind nothing but an old journal and a necklace. To uncover the truth, you must explore the vast sea of Arcadia. At the center of the mystery lies a massive mechanical creature known as OCEAHORN, a looming threat to the entire world. The gameplay follows the classic structure of adventure RPGs. You sail across the ocean in your small boat, traveling between islands and uncovering secrets. The core experience revolves around entering caves and ancient temples, solving puzzles while pushing blocks, lighting torches, finding hidden keys, and defeating powerful bosses at the end of each dungeon. But if we're being honest, the real evolution comes with OCEAHORN 2. Unfortunately, it's only available on iPhone, but it significantly raises the bar compared to the original. It shifts toward a more modern Zelda-inspired experience, clearly influenced by the newer entries in the franchise, expanding the scale and ambition of the series. Now, if you truly love tactical RPGs, a genre that feels almost forgotten today, this is a game you're going to love. Let's talk about Metal Slug Tactics. The game keeps the gorgeous pixel art and signature humor of the original series, but completely transforms the pace of combat. The more distance you move during your turn, the more dodge points you gain. This drastically reduces the damage you take from enemies. Standing still are not an option, but one of the most important mechanics is the synchronized attack system. If you position one character to attack an enemy and another ally has line of sight on that same target, they will automatically perform a support attack. Mastering positioning so that a single shot triggers a devastating chain reaction from your entire squad is the key to surviving the toughest battles. This isn't slow defensive strategy, it's aggressive, calculated momentum. If you're tired of always being the hero who invades dungeons to steal treasure, The Legend of Keepers completely flips the script. Let's talk about it. This game blends turn-based strategy, resource management, and roguelite elements, all wrapped in gorgeous, high-quality pixel art. The structure is divided into weeks. Each week you handle management events, training your monsters, letting your team rest, negotiating with unions, and preparing your dungeon defenses, and then the heroes arrive. Your main objective is to manage your dungeon as efficiently as possible to prevent those so-called heroes from reaching your treasure. You choose which monsters will guard each room. You place traps strategically throughout the corridors. You prepare everything for the invasion. If the heroes survive all your defenses, they'll eventually face you, the dungeon master. And if your master falls, the run is over. It's a brilliant mix of dungeon management and RPG mechanics, creating a fresh perspective where you're no longer the savior of the world, you're the final boss. If you know ZENONIA, then you're probably going to love INOTIA 4 because it comes from the same roots, and many even consider them rivals. Let's talk about it. Released in 2012, INOTIA 4 is widely seen as the peak of the series, delivering a much darker story and introducing a full party system, something ZENONIA never truly explored. Unlike many RPGs from that era that leaned toward colorful and light-hearted adventures, INOTIA 4 takes a heavier, more dramatic approach. You control Kian, an assassin from the Shadow Tribe, alongside Era, the Maiden of Light. Their journey is filled with tension, conflict, and emotional weight, and if you love building characters this game is a paradise. There are 15 different skills to develop, along with a robust crafting system and gem fusion mechanics that allow you to strengthen and customize your gear in depth. The world is massive, featuring over 400 different zones to explore, from forests and deserts to dark, dangerous dungeons. For its time, it was one of the most ambitious RPGs ever released on mobile. Fate. Reawakened is a remastered and revived version of the classic Fate series, originally released many years ago and now finally receiving its definitive version on Android. At its core, this is a true old-school dungeon crawler. The isometric perspective fits the formula perfectly, giving the game that classic RPG feel, but this new version manages to evolve beyond its older releases. One of the standout features is the pet system. Your companion doesn't just follow you around, it actively helps during your adventures. There are also side activities like fishing and even housing elements, allowing you to customize and expand your experience beyond pure combat. If you're looking for a game to sink hours into watching your character grow stronger both visually and mechanically while also participating in online events with other players, this one can be a very fun experience. ATRIS arrived to prove that mobile can deliver a true premium JRPG experience fully offline with no free-to-play restrictions holding it back. Let's talk about it. Combat is the heart of the game. It's turn-based, but with the intensity of an action game. You spend action points to chain attacks together, and the order of your moves truly matters. Some skills can even launch enemies into the air, opening the door for devastating combos, and it doesn't stop there. During the enemy's turn, you can perform perfect parries and dodges. If your timing is precise, it blends strategy with reflex-based gameplay in a way that feels fresh and dynamic. The setting is just as fascinating. The planet Alindo doesn't rotate, meaning one side is locked in eternal daylight while the other remains in endless night. You travel across alien landscapes in a futuristic trailer, exploring vast plains that merge advanced technology with the ruins of ancient civilizations. Beyond its deep skill trees, the game also features systems like cooking and alchemy, adding even more layers to progression. And all of this takes place in a beautiful open world that truly feels next generation for mobile. And that's the list. Mobile RPGs are stronger than ever, and now it's your turn. Which one are you playing first? And drop a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next adventure.